Beloved chosen one. You feel it even before you fully understand it. There has always been something different about the way your life moves. Something deeper than chance. Something that refuses to let you settle into the ordinary patterns that seem to hold everyone else so comfortably. You have tried at times to explain it away. You have tried to call it sensitivity, intensity, overthinking, bad timing, or a complicated personality. But deep inside, where the noise of the world cannot fully reach, you know there is another truth. You know you were not shaped to disappear into the crowd. You know you were not sent here just to repeat routines, chase approval, and leave this earth having never touched the purpose placed inside you by the hand of God. You are here because heaven has marked you with intention. Before people misunderstood you, before doors closed in your face, before the battles came one after another, there was a reason your spirit carried a weight that others could not name. The very thing that made you feel out of place is the thing that points to your calling. The very thing that made others question you is often the sign that your life answers to a higher voice. You have been living with clues, and now those clues are beginning to gather into something unmistakable. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. There are people who move through life untouched by deeper questions. They silence the ache, distract themselves, and call that peace. But you cannot do that for long. Something in you keeps awakening. Something in you keeps listening for more. Even in moments when you feel tired, even in seasons when disappointment sits heavy on your chest, there is still a quiet fire burning under the ashes. That fire is not your imagination. It is the evidence that your story belongs to God in a way that cannot be erased by delay, rejection, or fear. You have likely asked why the path has been so strange, why the lessons came through pressure, why your heart had to become strong so early, why you could never fully fit into spaces that seemed easy for everyone else. The answer is not that you were forgotten. The answer is not that you were cursed. The answer is that your life required a different kind of preparation. People chosen for a deeper assignment are often trained in ways that feel lonely before they feel glorious. When God sets someone apart, the process rarely looks comfortable while it is unfolding. It often feels like confusion before clarity, pruning before fruit, wilderness before arrival. That is why you must stop measuring your life by the standards of people who were never given your assignment. Their path is not your path. Their timing is not your timing. Their reward is not your reward. What looks late in the eyes of the world may actually be perfect alignment in the hands of God. You have spent too much time wondering whether you missed your moment, when in truth your moment has been protected from everything that could not carry its weight. Nothing genuine can be stolen from a life that God has ordained. It can be delayed. It can be tested. It can be hidden for a season. But it cannot be destroyed. And this is why your spirit has been restless lately. Something is shifting. The veil is getting thinner. The questions that once haunted you are beginning to turn into revelations. You are starting to see that your wounds did not make you worthless. They made you aware. Your tears did not mean you were weak. They proved your heart was still alive. Your endurance was not ordinary survival. It was evidence that a greater hand was preserving you through things that should have broken you completely. Many would have given up under the weight you carried. Many would have hardened into bitterness. Many would have bowed to despair. But you are still here, still listening, still seeking, still standing at the edge of understanding with enough faith to lean forward. So hear this clearly. You were chosen out of millions not because you are flawless, but because God can trust what He placed in you. He sees the compassion you carry. He sees the strength you developed in secret. He sees the loyalty, the hunger, the resilience, the strange courage that rises in you exactly when all logic says collapse. He sees what people overlooked. He sees what enemies tried to crush. He sees what even you have sometimes doubted. And now He is drawing your attention to it because the days of calling yourself common must come to an end. Do not shrink back now. Do not talk yourself out of what your spirit already recognizes. There are moments in life when heaven steps close and asks for your agreement. This is one of those moments. You do not need to understand every detail yet. You do not need the full map before taking the next faithful step. You need willingness. You need discernment. You need the courage to say yes before the road is fully visible. Type 999 in the comments as a sign that you are ready to receive what God is uncovering in your life. Because once you begin to see yourself correctly, everything starts to change. You stop begging to belong in places that were never assigned to you. You stop mistaking resistance for failure. You stop worshiping comfort and start respecting preparation. You begin to understand that the unusual weight on your life is connected to an unusual purpose. And with that understanding comes a new kind of strength, steady, clean, and deeply rooted. Not loud for attention, but powerful in truth. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering without design. You are standing at the threshold of revelation, and what God is about to show you will explain more than your past. It will call forth your future. The hidden reason, the deeper pattern, the sacred difference that has followed you all your life is about to come into focus. And when it does, you will realize that being chosen was never about applause. It was about assignment. It was never about being above others. It was about being available to God in a way that transforms everything. You were set apart for a reason, and that reason is closer than it has ever been before. The pain that set you apart did not come to erase you. It came to uncover what could never be discovered in a life of ease. That is a difficult truth to hold when you remember the nights that felt too long, the disappointments that cut too deep, and the seasons when you were left carrying questions no one around you could answer. In those moments, your pain did not feel meaningful. It felt unfair. It felt isolating. It felt as though life had singled you out for a harder road. But what if that very pressure was revealing why you could never live as just another face in the crowd? What if the pain itself was exposing the depth of your calling? There are some lives that move through comfort and remain unchanged. Then there are lives like yours, where every trial seems to press on the hidden places of the soul until what is false begins to crack and what is real begins to stand up. You have felt that pressure. You have known what it is to lose certainty, to lose approval, to lose the illusion that life would be simple. Yet through all of that, something in you has not died. It has deepened. It has become more alert, more discerning, more aware that your existence carries a weight that ordinary explanations cannot fully hold. The pain did not make you chosen, but it revealed that you already were. This is where your journey begins to echo the life of Moses in a way that is both powerful and deeply personal. Moses entered the world under threat, before he ever spoke to nations, before he ever stood before kings, before he ever stretched out his hand and watched God move with power. There was danger around his life. He was hidden as a child because destruction was already searching for him. Even at the beginning, His life carried a significance that attracted opposition. That pattern matters because it reminds you that when a life is marked by God, resistance often appears long before the reason is fully visible. Moses grew up between worlds. He was not fully rooted in the palace, yet he could never forget the suffering of his own people. He carried privilege around him and pain within sight. He saw oppression. He saw cruelty. He saw burdens that were not supposed to be normal. And something in him could not look away. That inner disturbance is important because the chosen are rarely able to stay numb for long. You know this from your own life. You have seen things others ignore. You have felt the weight of situations that others dismiss. You have carried an awareness that made it hard to live casually. That is not weakness. That is one of the signs that your heart has been tuned for more. But Moses did not step cleanly into purpose at first. His pain, his anger, and his confusion drove him into the wilderness. He became a man far from the place where he once imagined change might happen. He was separated from the noise, separated from the structures of power, separated from the version of himself that thought he understood his own destiny. The wilderness can feel like punishment when you are in it. It can feel like your life has been reduced, delayed, and pushed away from meaning. Yet the wilderness was not the end of Moses. It was the place where his outer identity was stripped down so that his deeper calling could be revealed. You know that wilderness feeling. You know what it is to wonder why your life has moved through stretches of silence, detours, and hidden seasons that did not seem to match the promise inside you. You know what it is to ask why the road has not been direct, but the chosen are often shaped in places that do not look impressive from the outside. In those places, your strength is purified, your motives are exposed, your need for approval begins to die. Your ears become more sensitive to God because there is less noise competing for your attention. Moses had to be led into that lonely terrain before he was ready to hear the voice that would change everything. And when that voice came through the burning bush, it did not introduce a random assignment. It uncovered a purpose that had been circling his life from the beginning. What looked like scattered chapters suddenly connected. The threatened child, the troubled young man, the exile in the wilderness, the shepherd in obscurity. All of it had been moving toward a divine unveiling. This is why your pain matters. Not because suffering is glorious by itself, but because God can use every hidden season to prepare you for the moment when your purpose becomes clear. He can take what felt disconnected and reveal a pattern. He can show you that the very places where you thought your life was falling apart were actually the places where it was being aligned. There is a verse that speaks directly to the kind of nearness you need to remember in painful seasons. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34, verse 18. That means your broken places never pushed God away. They drew His presence near. Your pain was never proof that you had been abandoned. It was often the place where heaven stood closest, watching you become someone stronger, deeper, and more ready than you realized. Moses did not feel naturally prepared when his calling was revealed. He questioned himself. He saw his limitations. He felt the weight of what he lacked. That also mirrors your experience, because pain often leaves behind doubt. It can make you aware of your scar, your fears, your hesitation, and your weaknesses. Yet God does not choose you because you appear effortless. He chooses you because He sees what can be formed in surrender. He sees the endurance built through hardship. He sees the compassion born through suffering. He sees the authority that comes from surviving what should have destroyed you. So when you look back at what hurt, do not only see loss, see preparation. See the way your soul was being taught not to rely on shallow things. See how disappointment broke your attachment to false security. See how isolation sharpened your inner hearing. See how the difficult road taught you to value truth over appearance. Like Moses, you were not being discarded in the wilderness. You were being made ready there. That is why your pain set you apart. It was not meaningless. It was not wasted. It was not the end of your story. It was part of the sacred process through which God brought hidden purpose closer to the surface. The weight you carried was shaping the vessel you would become. The tears you shed were watering roots you could not yet see. And now, as understanding begins to rise, you are starting to realize that the pain was not there to define you forever. It was there to prepare you for the day when the reason you were chosen could no longer remain hidden. The signs you could not ignore have been surrounding you for longer than you realize. At first they seemed small, almost too subtle to trust. A repeated stirring in your spirit, a pattern of being redirected when you tried to force yourself into places that did not truly fit. A strange sensitivity to truth and falsehood, a burden that would not leave you alone no matter how hard you tried to be practical, casual, or detached. You have lived with moments that made no sense to the logical mind, yet your soul kept whispering that something deeper was happening. That whisper was not there to confuse you. It was there to wake you up. Chosen lives are often marked by patterns before they are marked by public clarity. God does not always reveal the whole picture at once. More often, He leaves traces. He allows a person to notice the thread before they see the full tapestry. That is why so many of the signs in your life have come as impressions, disruptions, warnings, and inner nudges rather than loud announcements. Heaven knows how to speak in ways that test your discernment. The question has never only been whether signs are appearing. The question has been whether you are willing to recognize them for what they are. This is where the life of Moses continues to mirror your own path. After the wilderness had done its hidden work, he came to an ordinary day that turned into a holy interruption. He saw a bush on fire, yet it was not consumed. That sign mattered because it broke the pattern of the normal world without destroying what it touched. It demanded attention. It pulled him closer. It forced him to realize that the God who had been shaping him in silence was now speaking in a form he could not dismiss. Moses could have kept walking. He could have told himself it was nothing. He could have chosen convenience over curiosity. But he turned aside to see. That detail carries weight for you. Many people miss divine signs not because God never gives them, but because they refuse to turn aside. They are too rushed, too distracted, too committed to the familiar. But something in you has not been able to ignore what keeps calling your attention. You may have doubted yourself. You may have hesitated. You may have spent time wondering whether you were reading too much into your life. Yet the signs kept returning. The same themes appeared again and again. The same inner knowing rose when you reached certain crossroads. The same sense of divine pressure came when you moved too close to things that would have reduced your calling. That repetition is not random. It is one of the ways God teaches a chosen person how to see. Some of your signs have come through closed doors. That may not have felt merciful in the moment. It may have felt frustrating, humiliating, or painful. But not every closed door is rejection. Some are rescue. Some are protection. Some are God refusing to let you build your life in a place too small for your assignment. Moses knew what it was to be redirected. He had once imagined one path for his life, and then everything broke apart. Yet the shattered plan did not cancel the calling. It cleared the ground for the real encounter. In the same way, your detours have not meant that you lost your purpose. They have often been the very signs that purpose was being guarded from the wrong timing, the wrong environment, and the wrong hands. Other signs have come through your inner burden. You have felt responsible for things you did not create. You have felt drawn toward healing, truth, justice, prayer, encouragement, warning, or spiritual clarity in ways that others around you did not seem to understand. That does not mean you are meant to carry everything. It means you are being shown what your spirit is designed to notice. Moses could not ignore the suffering of his people forever because his life was tied to their deliverance. In the same way, the burdens that persist in you may be revealing more than emotion. They may be pointing toward assignment. There is also the sign of survival. Never underestimate that one. You have endured things that should have flattened your faith, dimmed your hope, and hardened your heart beyond recognition. Yet here you are, still listening, still hungry, still able to feel the tug of God. That survival is not a minor detail in your story. It is evidence. There are people who lose their direction after far less. There are people who stop seeking after a fraction of what you have carried. But your spirit kept returning to the question of why you are here. That return itself is a sign. It is proof that something in you belongs to God in a way darkness could not fully silence. Scripture gives language to this kind of guiding pattern. In Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." That does not promise a life without mystery. It promises direction for the surrendered heart. It means the signs around you are not meant to create panic. They are meant to deepen trust. The more you yield your understanding to God, the more clearly you begin to recognize where he is leading. So pay attention to what repeats. Pay attention to what stirs holy conviction rather than mere fear. Pay attention to the doors that closed and later proved merciful. Pay attention to the moments when your spirit became intensely awake. Pay attention to the burdens that never left. Pay attention to the strange preservation over your life. These are not fragments without meaning. They are part of the language through which God has been guiding you toward recognition. And as this recognition deepens, let your heart respond with quiet courage. If this message is meeting you at the right moment, let that response take a simple form. Leave a like. Share it with someone whose spirit needs this kind of confirmation. Subscribe so you can stay connected to what is unfolding here. And if you feel led to support this work, there is a place to donate in the description. Let it be an act of alignment, not pressure. A gentle way of saying that what God is stirring in you matters enough to honor. Because the truth is that you are no longer meant to dismiss the evidence of your own journey. The signs you could not ignore have not been teasing you with false hope. They have been preparing you to recognize the voice behind them. Like Moses before the burning bush, you are being invited to turn aside and truly see. What once looked like scattered moments is beginning to form a clear pattern. And once you see that pattern, you will not be able to pretend your life is ordinary anymore. You will understand that the signs were never sent to entertain your curiosity. They were sent to awaken your obedience, sharpen your discernment, and bring you step by step into the revelation of why you were chosen out of millions. Why were you isolated? That question has followed you through more seasons than you can count. There were times when the distance felt unbearable, when you watched other people move in groups, find easy belonging, and settle into places that never seemed to open the same way for you. You may have wondered whether something was wrong with you, whether your difference was a flaw, whether your deeper sensitivity onto your inwardness, your strange hunger for meaning had somehow made life harder than it needed to be. But what you once called isolation may have been the shelter of God. What you once called abandonment may have been separation for preparation. Not every closed circle is a loss. Not every lonely season is empty. There are moments when God removes noise so He can deepen your hearing. There are stretches of time when He allows you to stand apart because the environment around you cannot yet support what He is building in you. The chosen are often pulled away before they are sent forward. They are hidden before they are revealed. They are simplified before they are entrusted with something weighty. This is painful when you are living through it, because the human heart still longs to be understood, still longs to be held, still longs to feel that it belongs. Yet belonging too early, in the wrong place, can weaken a calling that needs to grow strong in truth before it is exposed to pressure. This is why the story of Moses continues to flow so naturally through your own. The wilderness did not only strip him, it separated him. It took him out of the structures that once shaped his identity and brought him into a place where titles, background, and human systems could no longer define him. In that lonely terrain, Moses was no longer upheld by palace life, no longer driven by youthful urgency, no longer surrounded by the expectations that once pressed in on him. He was brought into a quieter world, a slower world, a place where the soul could no longer hide behind activity. That kind of separation can feel severe, but it carries mercy inside it. It gives a person room to become honest before God. You have known versions of that wilderness. Perhaps yours did not look like desert sand, but it still felt stripped down. It may have been a season where friendships shifted, where support thinned out, where your old passions no longer satisfied you, where your surroundings felt strangely too small for what was waking up inside you. You may have felt as if life had narrowed. Yet in that narrowing, something essential was happening. You were being taught how to stand without constant validation. You were being taught how to hear without needing a crowd to confirm every step. You were being taught how to let God build your identity from the inside out. Isolation also protects. There are things that can only survive if they are hidden long enough to take root. A seed does not begin in applause. It begins underground. It begins where no one sees the breaking open. It begins in darkness, in pressure, in silence. And yet that hiddenness is not failure. It is how life forms. The same is true for purpose. Had Moses remained in the place that first shaped him, he might have gained status and lost surrender. He might have acted in strength that came from self rather than strength that came from God. The wilderness protected him from becoming powerful before he became yielded. That protection matters, because calling without surrender can become damage. Influence without inner formation can become destruction. So when you think about your own isolated seasons, do not only remember what you lacked, remember what they saved you from. They may have saved you from attaching your worth to people who could not recognize your spirit. They may have saved you from choices that would have entangled your life in things beneath your assignment. They may have saved you from moving too quickly, speaking too soon, or building an identity around gifts that had not yet been purified by character. What felt lonely may have been the wall around something sacred. There is another reason isolation comes to the chosen. It reveals what truly lives inside them. When everything external grows quiet, your deeper condition rises to the surface. Your fears speak louder. Your wounds become harder to ignore. Your need for God becomes undeniable. That is not cruelty. It is exposure for the sake of healing. Moses had to become a man who could no longer hide from his dependence on God. The same has been true for you. In the quiet, you have met parts of yourself that activity once covered. You have seen your hunger, your grief, your longing, your weakness, your faith, your resilience. You have learned that God does not only meet you in public moments of victory. He meets you in the stripped places where you have nothing to lean on but Him. Scripture speaks tenderly into this truth in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 15. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. That is not the language of worldly success. It is the language of divine formation. Your strength has not only been built in motion, it has been built in quietness. It has been built in trust. It has been built in the kind of hidden surrender that other people may never fully see, but heaven never overlooks. And now, because you have walked through enough lonely places to understand how much noise can cloud the mind and drain the spirit, you may also recognize the value of simple tools that help create more mental clarity and calm. Some people find it helpful to use a short audio experience like the Genius Wave or Genius Song as part of their daily rhythm, especially if they struggle with focus, mental fog, stress, or creative blockage and want support in settling the mind for a few minutes each day. It is presented as a brief brainwave entrainment audio designed to encourage deeper focus, creativity, and a clearer inner state without requiring complicated routines. If that seems relevant to your season, you can look for the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with imitations, and only use the official source if you decide to explore it. The battle over your soul has always been deeper than people could see. What many around you called bad luck, emotional intensity, delay, confusion, or misfortune was often something far more serious than that. It was resistance. It was pressure sent against your peace, your clarity, your confidence, and your willingness to trust God with your life. Because when heaven marks a person, darkness does not stay indifferent. It studies patterns. It looks for openings. It sends fear before breakthrough, discouragement before movement, temptation before growth, and exhaustion before revelation. The goal is not always to destroy you in one dramatic moment. Often the goal is to wear you down slowly until you begin to doubt who you are and why you are here. You know this kind of battle because you have lived inside it. You have felt the strange heaviness that arrives without warning. You have known what it is to carry an inner war while still trying to function in the outer world. You have seen how quickly peace can be targeted when you are getting too close to truth. You have watched confusion rise at the edge of important decisions. You have felt old wounds get stirred when new doors begin to open. None of that is imaginary. There is a real conflict around identity because if your identity becomes stable in God, then your direction becomes harder to corrupt. This is why the story of Moses continues to speak so clearly into your own. Once he encountered the voice of God at the burning bush, the battle did not become easier. It became clearer. Before that moment, he was isolated, hidden, and being formed in silence. After that moment, He had to face what opposed the very purpose for which he had been chosen. He was told to return to Egypt, to stand before power, to confront oppression, and to become a vessel through which deliverance would begin. That assignment was sacred, but it was also dangerous. The enemy never releases captives gladly. When God declares freedom, resistance often intensifies before chains actually break. That pattern matters for you. Sometimes you think increased struggle means you are moving in the wrong direction, when in truth it can mean you are approaching something that matters. Moses did not receive a calling and then glide forward without conflict. He stepped into obedience and immediately met opposition. Pharaoh resisted. The system resisted. Fear tried to rise. Even Moses wrestled with his own feelings of inadequacy. He questioned whether he was enough. He questioned whether people would listen. He questioned whether his weakness would disqualify him. Yet the presence of battle did not mean the absence of God. It meant the assignment was real enough to threaten what had ruled for too long. The same is true in your life. The battle over your soul is not only about whether you survive hard days. It is about whether your trust remains intact while heaven is positioning you. The enemy knows that if he can keep you trapped in shame, distraction, compromise, confusion, or spiritual passivity, then your gifts stay buried and your assignment stays delayed. That is why the attack often comes at the mind first. Thoughts become heavier. Discernment becomes foggy. Your old pain gets presented as your permanent identity. Temporary weakness is whispered to you as final defeat. You are tempted to interpret every delay as abandonment and every failure as proof that you were never chosen at all. But those whispers are not truth. They are strategy. Moses had to learn this in real time. He could not go back to Egypt carried by his own confidence. He had to go with the awareness that God's authority was greater than human resistance. He had to keep returning to the voice that called him. That is one of the deepest lessons for you in spiritual warfare. You do not win by panic. You do not win by striving harder in the flesh. You win by staying anchored to what God said, by refusing to let fear rename you, and by remembering that opposition does not define the outcome. It only reveals that something worth fighting for is at stake. This is why your inner life matters so much right now. Not because you need to become perfect overnight, but because the battle is subtle. It does not always arrive in obvious forms. Sometimes it comes through relentless distraction. Sometimes it comes through numbness. Sometimes it comes through relationships that slowly drain your conviction. Sometimes it comes through habits that soothe pain while weakening discernment. Sometimes it comes through endless comparison, making you question your own path because someone else's road appears easier. But your calling cannot be understood through comparison. Moses was not assigned to be someone else. He was assigned to obey God where he stood. You are being asked to do the same. There is a verse that speaks directly into this unseen conflict. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. Notice that it says schemes. That means the battle is often strategic, layered, and designed to catch you when you are careless, tired, offended, or spiritually distracted. But it also means you are not helpless. God does not leave his chosen exposed without wisdom. He gives truth, righteousness, peace, faith, salvation, and his word as protection for the person willing to stand. And standing does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like refusing an old lie when it returns. Sometimes it looks like praying when you feel numb. Sometimes it looks like resting instead of spiraling. Sometimes it looks like walking away from what weakens your spirit. Sometimes it looks like speaking truth over yourself when your emotions are not yet caught up. Sometimes it looks like choosing obedience in the middle of uncertainty. Moses stood before Pharaoh, but before that public courage, there had to be inward surrender. In the same way, the major victories in your life will often grow out of quiet, private moments where you decide not to bow to fear. So do not misunderstand the intensity around your life. The battle over your soul is not proof that you are doomed. It is evidence that your life carries consequence. It is evidence that something in you matters enough to target. It is evidence that your obedience would break more than your own chains. Just as Moses was not only being called for himself, but for those tied to his assignment. Your life touches more than you can currently see. That is why the war has felt so personal. But the one who called you is greater than what opposes you. And now you are beginning to understand that the pressure was never the whole story. Beneath the warfare, beneath the fear, beneath the confusion, God has been preserving your soul. He has been teaching your hands to fight without losing your tenderness, teaching your spirit to discern without becoming paranoid, teaching your heart to trust without becoming naive. This battle has revealed the seriousness of your calling, but it has also revealed the faithfulness of the God who guards it. You are still here. You are still listening. You are still being led. And that means the war did not win. The gifts hidden in plain sight have been with you for longer than you knew how to name them. You may have thought they were personality traits, survival habits, strange sensitivities, or ordinary preferences. But heaven has often hidden power inside what looks familiar. What you learn to dismiss as nothing special may actually be part of the equipment God placed in you from the beginning. The chosen are rarely handed their identity in full language all at once. More often, they grow up carrying pieces of it before they understand the purpose those pieces will one day serve. That is why you must look carefully at what has always been present in your life. Not the polished version you show to impress people, but the deeper patterns that remained even when seasons changed. The way you notice what others miss. The way you can sense when something is not right beneath the surface. The way you carry compassion without becoming shallow. The way your mind searches for meaning instead of settling for appearances. The way people open up around you without fully knowing why. The way you endure. The way you keep returning to God even after disappointment. These are not random qualities. They may be signs of spiritual design. This is where Moses helps you see your own life more clearly again. When God called him, Moses did not immediately see himself as a man full of usable gifts. He saw limitations. He saw fear. He saw his own weakness in speech. He saw the weight of the assignment and compared it to his human inadequacy. That is what many chosen people do. They become so aware of what seems lacking that they overlook what has already been placed in them. Yet God did not need Moses to manufacture a calling from nothing. He needed Moses to surrender what was already there. Even the shepherd's staff in Moses' hand became part of the story. It looked ordinary because it had always been with him. It was a tool of daily life, familiar and unimpressive. But when surrendered to God, the ordinary staff became a sign of authority, obedience, and divine power. That detail matters because it reveals a pattern that reaches directly into your life. Some of the gifts that will matter most in your calling may not look dramatic to you at first. They may feel too simple, too normal, too woven into your everyday self to seem important. Yet what is ordinary in your hand can become extraordinary when God breathes on it. Perhaps one of your hidden gifts is discernment. You have learned to read atmospheres and to hear what is not being said, to sense shifts in people and situations. That gift can feel burdensome before it feels useful. It can make you feel different, even isolated, and because you pick up what others ignore. But discernment is not there to make you anxious. It is there to help you navigate truthfully. Perhaps another gift is endurance. You think of it as mere survival because you had no choice but to keep going. But endurance is not a small thing. It is spiritual stamina. It is the ability to remain standing while others collapse under lesser weight. That kind of strength becomes vital when the road requires consistency, not just inspiration. Or maybe your hidden gift is your capacity to listen. In a loud world, listening is rare. To truly listen to God, to truly listen to people, to truly listen beneath the noise takes humility and depth. Moses had to learn to listen before he could lead. The one who would confront Pharaoh first had to remove his sandals and become still on holy ground. In the same way, your capacity to slow down and hear may be one of the very things God intends to use. Many want influence, but few want the discipline of listening. Yet divine wisdom often enters through the ear before it ever reaches the mouth. Your hidden gifts may also include compassion shaped by suffering. Because you have known pain, you can recognize it in others without needing them to explain every detail. Because you have walked through lonely seasons, you can carry people gently without performing. Because you have been broken and rebuilt, you know how to speak with both truth and mercy. Moses did not lead from detachment. He was tied to the burden of the people he was called to help. Your compassion may be part of the same pattern. It is not there so you can drown in everybody else's emotions. It is there so that when God places someone in your path, you carry his heart with maturity instead of indifference. Scripture gives a clear reminder that what God gives is never accidental. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4. That means your design is intentional. Your strengths are not self-created accidents. Your deeper capacities did not appear without purpose. Even the things that needed healing may still contain traces of assignment beneath them. God is able to refine what was distorted and restore it to the use he intended. This is why comparison has been so dangerous for you. Comparison blinds you to your own equipment. It makes you stare at someone else's sword while ignoring the staff already in your hand. It makes you question your path because you do not resemble another person's expression of calling. But the chosen are not meant to become copies. Moses was not meant to become Abraham, Joseph, or Elijah. He was meant to become Moses in full surrender to God. In the same way, your gifts will not always resemble what people celebrate publicly. They may be quieter, steadier, more hidden at first. Yet hidden does not mean lesser. It simply means they are being revealed in the right order. So begin to notice what remains true about you across time. Notice the capacities that survived hardship. Notice what people have consistently received from you. Notice where your spirit comes alive in service, in prayer, in wisdom, in creativity, in comfort, in courage, in clarity. Do not dismiss these things because they seem natural. What is natural to you may be the very grace another person has been praying to receive. Your responsibility is not to worship the gift. It is to place it back into the hands of God and let him show you what it was always for. And if this message is helping you recognize what has been hidden in plain sight, let your response be simple and sincere. Leave a like so this word can reach more people who are still struggling to name what God placed inside them. Share it with someone who has been doubting their own significance. Subscribe if you want to keep walking through these messages as the picture grows clearer. And if you feel led to support this work, you can use the donate link in the description as a quiet act of partnership. Because the gifts in you are no longer meant to stay buried beneath false humility, pain, or confusion. Like the staff in Moses' hand, what seems ordinary now may become sacred once surrendered. What looked small may carry authority. What felt familiar may contain power. And as God continues pulling back the veil, you will begin to see that your life has never been empty of equipment. You have been carrying signs of your calling all along. They were hidden in plain sight until your spirit became ready to recognize them. Now recognition is coming, and with it comes responsibility. Not to perform, not to pretend, but to offer back to God what He gave you and watch Him turn the ordinary into evidence that you were chosen for more. The moment everything shifts rarely looks dramatic at first. It often begins in a place that seems almost too small to carry the weight of what is happening. A conversation, a realization, a stirring that will not leave. A sudden clarity that makes your old way of seeing impossible to return to. You expect transformation to arrive with noise, but often God begins it in quietness. In a moment so inward that no one around you fully understands what has changed. Yet once that shift begins, nothing remains the same. The soul that has truly heard God cannot go back to sleep. You may be standing in such a moment now. Not because every answer has arrived, and not because your future has become effortless, but because your spirit is beginning to recognize that delay is not the same as denial. What felt hidden is starting to rise. What felt scattered is starting to form a pattern. What felt like years of preparation without visible reward is beginning to gather into a turning point. This is not the kind of shift that flatters the ego. It is the kind that rearranges the heart. It makes obedience feel more urgent than comfort. It makes clarity more precious than approval. It makes you willing to let go of what once seemed necessary because you can sense that something greater is drawing near. This is where the life of Moses becomes especially important to your own journey. There was a moment when he could no longer remain only the man of the wilderness. The hidden years had done their work. The silence had prepared him. The burning bush had spoken. But there still came a moment when what had been revealed in private had to begin shaping public reality. He had to return. He had to step toward the place he once fled. He had to move with the awareness that the God who met him in obscurity was now sending him into visible assignment. That is what a true shift looks like. It is not merely emotional inspiration. It is the crossing point where inward revelation begins to demand outward obedience. You know how frightening that can feel. There is a comfort in preparation, even painful preparation. Because as long as you remain in the hidden stage, you can imagine the future without yet facing the full cost of it. But when the shift comes, imagination gives way to movement. The soul realizes that it is being asked to trust God in a more concrete way. For Moses, that meant facing old fears, old memories, old places of pain, and visible opposition. For you, it may mean leaving behind identities that once protected you. It may mean releasing excuses that made delay feel safer. It may mean speaking with greater honesty, choosing with greater courage, and living with a deeper awareness that your life no longer belongs to fear. That is why this moment is so sacred. It is not only about what God is bringing toward you. It is also about what He is bringing out of you. He is calling forth a steadier faith, a clearer mind, a stronger willingness to obey without needing every detail explained first. The shift is internal before it becomes external. It changes the way you interpret resistance. It changes the way you respond to uncertainty. It changes the way you carry your own story. Things that once made you shrink begin to lose their power. Things you once avoided begin to look like doors. The very terrain that once held your fear becomes the place where your calling begins to stand upright. Moses did not become a different person in essence at the moment of shift. He became more surrendered. That distinction matters. Sometimes you think the turning point in your life will arrive only when you become someone else entirely. More polished, more fearless, more impressive. But often God works with the person you already are. Once that person stops resisting the call, the shift is not always about receiving a brand new identity. It is often about embracing the one heaven has been unveiling all along. You are not being asked to become artificial. You are being asked to become aligned. There is a verse that captures this crossing beautifully. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah chapter 43 verses 18 and 19. Notice the question at the end. Do you not perceive it? That is the heart of this section of your journey. The new thing may already be springing up, and your task is to perceive it. Not to force it, not to perform it into existence, but to recognize where God is moving so you can move with Him. Perception matters because shifts are often missed by people who are still staring only at what has been lost. You have lost things. You have lost time, certainty, innocence, opportunities, relationships, false versions of yourself, and illusions about how life would unfold. Those losses were real. But if you keep your eyes fixed only on what ended, you may fail to see what is beginning. Moses could not move toward deliverance while living only inside the memory of exile. He had to let the voice of God become greater than the pain of what came before. In the same way, your turning point will require a holy reorientation. The past may explain you, but it does not get to govern you forever. This is where courage becomes quiet but undeniable, not loud, not theatrical, not desperate for attention. Real courage often looks like a steady yes, a yes whispered in prayer, a yes repeated when fear rises again, a yes that chooses trust even while trembling. Moses carried that kind of courage. He did not march forward as a man untouched by weakness. He moved as a man who had heard God clearly enough to know that weakness would not be the final word. You are being brought into the same kind of courage now. So if everything feels as though it is subtly rearranging, do not panic. If old patterns no longer fit, do not rush to rebuild them. If your spirit feels both tender and alert, do not assume that confusion is winning. It may be that revelation is increasing. It may be that the ground beneath your life is shifting from hidden formation to visible direction. It may be that the answer to years of wondering is not arriving as a single explanation but as a doorway. And this is why the moment everything shifts matters so deeply. It is the threshold between being prepared and being sent, between hearing and moving, between surviving your story and beginning to understand why it happened this way. What is changing in you now may still seem quiet to the world, but heaven recognizes it fully. The old season is losing its hold. The deeper pattern is rising. And as you continue to perceive what God is doing, you will discover that the shift you feared is actually the mercy that brings your calling into motion. Your assignment revealed does not arrive as a reward for being better than other people. It arrives as a sacred unveiling of what God has been forming through every hidden chapter. every burden, every delay, every hard lesson, and every moment when you wondered why your life could not move like everyone else's. By now you are beginning to see that the thread has always been there. The pain set you apart. The signs kept calling your attention. The isolation protected what was still growing. The battle over your soul exposed the seriousness of what you carry. The gifts hidden in plain sight proved that heaven had already placed tools in your hands. And when the moment of shift arrived, it did not create your purpose. It revealed it. This is where the life of Moses opens even wider before you. His assignment was never simply about personal survival, personal peace, or personal healing, even though God cared about all of those things. His assignment was larger. He was chosen to stand in the gap between bondage and freedom, between oppression and deliverance, between a people crushed by power and the God who had not forgotten them. That kind of calling explains why his life was marked from the beginning. It explains the danger around his birth, the complexity of his identity, the wilderness years, the divine encounter, and the resistance that followed. None of it was random because the assignment was never small. The same pattern helps you understand your own life more honestly. Your calling may not look identical in form, but it carries the same principle. You were not chosen only to get through life with minimal damage. You were chosen to carry something that changes the atmosphere around you. Perhaps your assignment is to bring truth where deception has become normal. Perhaps it is to bring peace into chaos without becoming swallowed by the chaos. Perhaps it is to strengthen those who are weary, to see what others overlook, to pray with authority, to create with vision, to lead with humility, to warn with love, or to build what others are too afraid to begin. The exact shape may continue unfolding, but the deeper reality is already becoming clear. Your life was never meant to end at self-preservation. That realization changes everything. It means your gifts are not ornaments. They are instruments. Your survival is not just a personal testimony. It is preparation. Your sensitivity is not merely a burden. It is perception that must be governed by God. Your longing for more is not immaturity. It is a sign that your soul recognizes it was made for purpose, not just routine. This is why ordinary explanations have never fully satisfied you. Your spirit has been reaching for assignment even when your mind could not yet define it. Moses had to learn that assignment is not the same as ambition. Ambition asks how high you can rise. Assignment asks how faithfully you can obey. Ambition wants visibility. Assignment wants alignment. Ambition often feeds on comparison. Assignment becomes stronger through surrender. This is crucial for you because one of the enemy's most subtle traps is to make you think purpose is about proving your value to people. But true calling is not a performance. It is a responsibility. Moses was not sent back to Egypt so he could impress anyone. He was sent because people were suffering and God intended to act through a yielded life. That means your assignment will usually touch other lives. It will not terminate in your own comfort. It may require courage you did not know you had. It may require consistency more than excitement. It may require you to keep trusting God when the results are not immediate. Moses saw miracles, but he also saw resistance, complaints, exhaustion, and long stretches where obedience was costly. Yet the weight of the assignment remained because it came from God, not from emotion. In the same way, your purpose will not always feel easy or glamorous. But when it is truly from God, It will carry a steady inner witness that keeps calling you forward. There is a verse that gives language to this revealing. We are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Prepared in advance. That means your assignment is not an afterthought. God did not watch your life unfold in confusion and then scramble to invent meaning. He prepared good works in advance. He shaped your inner world with intention. He allowed certain lessons, sharpened certain sensitivities, and preserved you through certain fires because your life was always moving toward more than mere existence. This should humble you and strengthen you at the same time. It humbles you because you realize the calling is not self-made. It strengthens you because you realize it does not depend on human permission. People may affirm it or miss it. They may help it or resist it. They may understand pieces of it or misunderstand most of it. But if God prepared it, then your task is not to beg for the world's approval. Your task is to walk in obedience with a clean spirit and a listening heart. And this is why clarity is beginning to replace confusion. You are starting to notice where your life consistently bears weight. You are starting to see what kinds of burdens keep returning to you in prayer, in thought, in compassion, in righteous discomfort. You are starting to recognize that some of the things you once tried to escape are actually connected to what you are called to address. Moses could not escape the suffering of his people because his assignment was tied to their deliverance. In the same way, the burdens that continue to press on your heart may be clues, not interruptions. Still, revelation usually comes in layers. You may not see the full map yet, and that is all right. Moses did not understand every detail in one instant. But once the assignment became clear enough, he could no longer pretend ignorance. That may be where you are now. You know too much to go back to spiritual sleep. You have seen too many signs. You have survived too much warfare. You have felt too much stirring to call your life ordinary again. The unveiling may still be unfolding, but it is far enough along that your soul recognizes the direction. So let this truth settle deep. You were chosen because your life carries purpose beyond what you first imagined. You were formed to become useful in the hands of God. You were not preserved by accident. You were being prepared for assignment. Comment, I accept this. And as this assignment becomes clearer, do not turn it into pressure. Let it become consecration. Let it become a deeper yes. Let it become a life that is less scattered, less distracted, less available to what weakens your spirit. Because once assignment is revealed, stewardship begins. You start guarding what matters. You start listening more carefully. You start walking with greater intention. And that is where you are being led now. Not into striving, not into performance, but into alignment with the reason heaven marked your life in the first place. The unveiling is happening. The assignment is real. And your spirit is finally beginning to recognize the shape of what God prepared for you, long before you ever knew how to name it. The cost of saying no is heavier than most people understand. Many imagine that rejecting a calling only delays a blessing, but the truth runs deeper than that. When God has marked a life with purpose, refusal does not create peace. It creates friction inside the soul. It creates a strange distance between who you are becoming and who you keep pretending to be. It leaves a person divided. Outwardly, they may continue moving, speaking, working, and surviving, but inwardly something remains unsettled because the deeper design of their life is being resisted. That inner fracture is one of the greatest prices a chosen person can pay. You have felt hints of this already. Every time you moved too far from what your spirit knew was true, something in you became restless. Every time you tried to shrink your life into something safer, smaller, or more convenient than what God was revealing, you lost a measure of peace. You may have called it stress, confusion, or emotional heaviness. But much of it was the grief of misalignment. The chosen can wander, but they cannot wander comfortably for long. There is a holy pressure on their life that keeps pulling them back toward truth. This is why the story of Moses matters so much here. When God first spoke from the burning bush and revealed the assignment, Moses did not respond with instant confidence. He hesitated. He questioned. He pointed to his weakness. He wondered who he was to go. He feared that people would not listen. He feared that he was not enough. In those responses, you can hear the human heart struggling against a divine commission. It was not open rebellion in the dramatic sense, but it was resistance. It was the trembling instinct to step back from the weight of what obedience would require. That resistance is understandable. Saying yes to God often means saying no to comfort, no to excuses, no to self-protection, and no to the version of life that asks little from you. Moses knew that if he accepted the assignment, he could not remain hidden in the wilderness as he had been. He could not continue living in a contained world where his responsibilities felt known and manageable. He would have to face old pain, confront visible evil, carry the burden of other demand, and trust God beyond the limits of his natural strength. The cost of saying yes was real, but the cost of saying no would have been even greater. If Moses had refused, he would have remained alive, but not whole. He would have kept breathing, but something essential in him would have remained buried under fear. He would have preserved comfort at the expense of calling. He would have protected himself from immediate difficulty while losing participation in the very reason his life had been spared and shaped in the first place. This is the tragedy of refusal. It may look like self-preservation for a while, but over time it becomes self-diminishment. A person becomes smaller than the grace available to them. That is the warning before you as well. When you resist what God has been unveiling, you do not merely postpone progress. You begin to harden against your own design. The heart learns dangerous habits when it keeps saying no. Discernment becomes duller. Conviction becomes easier to ignore. Spiritual sensitivity starts to fade beneath layers of distraction, compromise, and rationalization. What once pierced your conscience begins to feel normal. What once stirred your spirit begins to feel distant. This is not because God has become cruel. It is because repeated refusal changes the condition of the inner life. There is a verse that speaks with sobering clarity about this. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15. That warning exists because hearing and obeying are meant to remain close together. When a person hears repeatedly and refuses repeatedly, hardness begins to grow. And hardness is dangerous because it numbs the very part of you that was meant to recognize God. The chosen do not lose their value before God, but they can lose sharpness, responsiveness, and peace when they keep resisting the direction heaven is making clear. This does not mean every hesitation is final ruin. Moses hesitated, and God still worked with him. That should give you hope. God understands the trembling of human weakness. He knows what fear feels like in a fragile mind and tired body. He is merciful with those who struggle honestly before him. But mercy is not the same as permission to remain forever undecided. There comes a point where the soul must move from endless excuse into surrendered obedience. There comes a point where delay stops being discernment and starts becoming disobedience. You may know exactly where this tension has been living in you. Perhaps God has been asking for a deeper consecration, and you have kept negotiating. Perhaps He has been urging you to leave behind something that weakens your spirit, but you have delayed because the familiar still comforts you. Perhaps He has been inviting you into greater courage, greater truthfulness, greater spiritual seriousness, and you have kept telling yourself there will be another time. Yet the longer you delay, the heavier the inner conflict becomes. This is because your spirit knows that partial obedience cannot produce full peace. Moses eventually moved. He did not move because all fear vanished. He moved because the word of God became weightier than his excuses. That is one of the most important lessons you can carry from his story. Obedience is not the reward for becoming fearless. It is the decision to trust God more than fear. Once Moses yielded, the road remained difficult, but it also became meaningful in a way refusal never could have been. His life entered its true shape. The burdens were real, but so was the presence of God. The resistance was real, but so was the authority resting on obedience. The cost of yes was high, but the cost of no would have been the slow burial of purpose. This is what you must understand now. You are not being invited into obedience to make your life miserable. You are being invited so your life does not remain divided. God is calling you because alignment heals what compromise keeps tearing apart. When you say yes, even trembling, the soul begins to gather itself. Peace returns in deeper form. Clarity grows. Strength rises where confusion once ruled. Not because every battle ends at once, but because your life is no longer fighting against its own design. So do not underestimate the seriousness of this moment. Refusal has consequences, even when they unfold quietly. It can steal years. It can blur identity. It can weaken joy. It can leave a person living beneath the level of grace prepared for them. But obedience, even costly obedience, restores a person to the river of their true calling. That is where Moses finally walked, and that is the threshold before you now. The cost of saying no is too great, not because God is eager to punish you, but because your life was made for more than avoidance. You were chosen for alignment, for surrender, for holy participation in what heaven intended. And the more clearly you see that, the less you will want to trade your calling for the illusion of safety. Stepping into your crown does not mean stepping into pride. It means stepping into agreement with what God has spoken over your life. It means you stop treating your calling like a rumor and start receiving it like a responsibility. It means you no longer apologize for being different in the ways heaven designed. It means you stop begging ordinary spaces to explain what only God can reveal. After everything you have walked through, after the pain that set you apart, the signs you could not ignore, the isolation that protected you, the battle over your soul, the gifts hidden in plain sight, the moment everything shifted, the assignment that began to unfold, and the sobering truth about the cost of saying no. You are now standing at the place where acceptance must become action. This is where the story of Moses reaches its deeper meaning for you. He was never crowned with a visible crown of gold, yet he stepped into something greater than earthly decoration. He stepped into divine authority. He became a man whose life no longer belonged to fear, hiding, or endless hesitation. He carried the weight of obedience. He carried the presence of God into places of resistance. He became a vessel through which heaven moved on earth. That is the kind of crown now set before you. Not one made of ego, attention, or applause, but one made of surrender, purpose, endurance, and holy identity. Many people want the promise without the transformation. They want the shine without the refining. They want the language of destiny without the discipline of obedience. But you have learned too much to keep chasing appearances. You know now that a true calling costs something. It costs the false self. It costs old excuses. It costs the need to be constantly understood by people who cannot see what God is doing in you. Yet what you gain is far greater. You gain alignment. You gain clarity. You gain a steadier peace because your life is no longer divided against itself. You gain the strength that comes when the soul finally stops running from what it was made to carry. That is why this final step matters. You are not being asked to become louder. You are being asked to become truer. You are not being asked to force doors open with human striving. You are being asked to walk with greater authority, greater discernment, and greater faithfulness. The crown in this message is the acceptance of your God-given identity. It is the moment you stop calling yourself accidental. It is the moment you stop making your wounds your master. It is the moment you recognize that what heaven preserved through all those years was never meant to stay hidden forever. Moses reached places in his journey where the evidence was undeniable. He had seen too much of God to return to a smaller life. He had endured too much with God to doubt that the hand guiding him was real. In the same way, you have come too far to keep calling your life ordinary. You have survived things that should have erased your hunger for truth, and yet the hunger remains. You have endured battles that should have silenced your spirit, and yet you still hear the call. You have been carried through confusion, preserved through pain, and awakened through signs that kept returning until you could no longer dismiss them. That is not a random life. That is a marked life. So now receive this not as pressure, but as invitation. Stand up inwardly. Let your spirit come into agreement with God's design. Let the old language of smallness break off. Let the old need for permission lose its grip. Let the false humility that keeps hiding your calling give way to surrendered courage. The crown fits when you stop resisting who God says you are. It fits when you stop measuring your value by who claps for you. It fits when obedience matters more than comfort. It fits when you understand that being chosen was never about superiority. It was about service. It was about availability. It was about becoming a living answer in a world full of bondage, fear, confusion, and spiritual sleep. And in this moment, let prayer rise naturally from that truth. Father, in the name of Jesus, I pray for the one hearing these words right now. Draw them fully into the identity you have been revealing through every season of their life. Heal what pain has bruised. Strengthen what battle has wearied. Cleanse what fear has clouded. Restore what delay has made them question. Let every false label fall away, and let your truth stand firm in their spirit. Where they have felt forgotten, remind them they were preserved. Where they have felt weak, remind them your strength is made perfect there. Where they have hesitated, give them holy courage. Where they have been divided within themselves, bring alignment. Let peace settle over their mind. Let clarity rise in their heart. Let obedience become sweeter than fear. And let the reason they were chosen out of millions come into sharper and sharper focus. until their whole life becomes an offering in your hands. Guard them from deception. Guard them from pride. Guard them from despair. Teach them to walk humbly and boldly with you, and let the fire of their calling burn clean, steady, and bright. Amen. Now breathe in that peace. You do not have to force what God is confirming. You do not have to prove what heaven has already spoken. Your task is to remain yielded, watchful, and faithful. The more you walk with God, the more naturally the next steps will emerge. Not always easily, but clearly enough for obedience. That is how crowned lives move. Not with frantic striving, but with settled authority. And if this message has met you in a real and personal way, respond in a simple way that helps keep this stream of encouragement reaching those who need it. Leave a like so more people can find this word. Share it with someone who has been carrying hidden questions about their calling. Subscribe if you want to stay connected to future messages that strengthen your spirit and sharpen your discernment. And if you feel led to support this work, you can do that through the donate link in the description. Because this is not the end of your awakening, it is the beginning of your yes. The crown is not fantasy. It is your acceptance of the life God has been forming in secret all along. You were chosen with intention. You were preserved with purpose. You were awakened for this hour. And as you step forward in surrender, you will discover that the God who called you is also the God who sustains you. The road ahead will still require faith, but now you know why your life could never remain ordinary. You know the difference was never a mistake. You know the pain was not empty. You know the isolation had purpose. You know the battle revealed the value of what you carry. You know the signs were leading somewhere real. You know your gifts were never random. You know the shift has begun. You know the assignment is sacred. And you know the cost of turning away is too high for a soul that has heard God this clearly. So walk forward with a calmer heart. Let your spirit stay near to God. Let obedience become your language. Let humility protect the calling and let courage carry it. There will be more to learn, more to surrender, and more to witness. But you do not go into that future empty-handed. You go marked, loved, prepared, and led. The reason you were chosen out of millions is no longer hidden in the same way it once was. The veil has lifted enough for your soul to understand this central truth. Your life belongs to a purpose larger than comfort, larger than fear, and larger than human opinion. And the one who chose you will remain faithful to complete what he began.